begins state visit to Uganda. While mourners throng Tamale, Mirembe's residents to pay tribute. Entebbe authorities disregard a memorandum of understanding signed between Katavi and KCCA as null. And Parliament rejects the Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill 2023. Hello once again. President Yoweri Museveni and the First Lady, Janet Museveni, have welcomed the King of Eswatini, His Majesty Mswati III, at Entebbe International Airport. Now, King Mswati III is in Uganda on a 3-day state visit at the invitation of President Yoweri Museveni. The visit is aimed at strengthening the relationship between Uganda and Eswatini.
Accompanied by his wife and a high-level delegation, King Mswati III was received by President Yoweri Museveni at Entebbe International Airport. The welcoming ceremony included a 21-gun salute and an inspection of a guard of honor by the Uganda People's Defense Forces. President Museveni was joined by several ministers and service chiefs for the occasion. Later on at State House Entebbe, President Museveni and King Mswati III engaged in discussions aimed at enhancing bilateral cooperation. The talks focused on several key areas, including transport, mining and agriculture. The leaders emphasized the creation of a hub in Eswatini for marketing Kira Motors electric buses to the Southern African Development Community region. They also explored opportunities for collaboration in large-scale and artisanal mining, as well as advancement in agricultural mechanization and technology. The leaders also witnessed the signing of 2 MOUs, including a general cooperation agreement to establish a joint permanent commission of cooperation and a memorandum of understanding on agricultural cooperation. Both leaders expressed their commitment to regional peace and security and to work together within international frameworks. King Mswati III extended an invitation to President Yoweri Museveni to visit Eswatini, highlighting the ongoing efforts to strengthen the ties between their nations.
And Uganda's Prime Minister Rhoda Ngonzi has held talks with her counterpart from Lesotho, His Excellency Sam Nsokoane, on boosting business between the two countries. The meeting took place at the office of the Prime Minister in Kampala and was attended by several ministers.
Lesotho Prime Minister, His Excellency Sam Nsokoane Matekane, has visited the Prime Minister of Uganda, Rhoda Ngonzi, at her office in Kampala. During the meeting, Ngonzi briefed her guests that Uganda and the Kingdom of Lesotho share a lot in common, thus the need for partnering to exchange ideas on how to enhance capabilities of both countries. In October this year, Commonwealth countries will be voting for a Secretary General, a position that Lesotho is eyeing. On this, Premier Ngonzi assured her guests of Uganda's full support.
Our partnership can go a long way to assist Uganda to have markets for our products. For example, Uganda produces 4.5 million liters of milk, and the president must have told you.
Yes. Yes.
And this capacity is on rise. Now, internal consumption is only 800 million liters per annum. So we have surplus. We can have cooperation along those lines.
Nabanja further informed her guest that government has made significant strides in improving service delivery through initiatives such as National Development Plan and Vision 2040.
Move forward in this partnership, I am confident that our joint efforts will lead tangible improvements in the lives of our people, I mean Ugandans and our people of Lesotho. Whether it is through enhancing access to health care, education, or social services.
And we exchange ideas and cross-fertilize each other so that we remain relevant and able to provide the services for our people, for the development of our two peoples, even now in the bigger spirit of the Pan-African unity. I think that's where the strength lies. So it will be a pleasure.
On his part, the Prime Minister for Lesotho, Sam Tsokoane Mateke, thanked Uganda for the hospitality extended to him and the entire delegation while in Uganda, and promised to further engage the business community in Lesotho to come and operate in Uganda.
The key sectors we are particularly interested in are the following: food and livestock production, skills development, particularly establishment of medical training institutions and technical training institutions, capacity building and collaboration in the security sectors.
The meeting was attended by ministers, technical staff led by the Permanent Secretary, OPM Dunstan Balaba, among others. Nabanja was later given the Lesotho attire as a symbol of love and cooperation.
And Entebbe municipality has stopped all KCCA garbage trucks from dumping west at Nkumba dumping site effective 14th August 2024. The municipality asserts that the agreement made between KCCA and Katavi Town Council is null and void, accusing KCCA of trespassing. According to Fabrice Rulinda, the mayor of Entebbe municipality, the dumping site does not have the capacity to accommodate the garbage, and he advises KCCA to devise lasting solutions for waste management.
Entebbe municipality is demanding a comprehensive plan from KCCA on how garbage collected from the 5 divisions of Kampala can be dumped and managed without negatively impacting the people of Entebbe. Led by Mayor Fabrice Rulinda, Entebbe leaders and councillors condoned off the dumping site, blocking all KCCA garbage trucks from accessing it. The municipality halted ongoing excavation activities and directed operators and truck drivers to return with their garbage and dump it elsewhere. According to Entebbe authorities, their dumping site is very small and located next to a wetland, which is likely to be affected by the waste.
Much as we sympathize with our brothers and sisters in Kampala, we have taken a decision to stop any dumping being done here henceforth until there is a comprehensive solution. We do not want to carry a problem that happened in Chitezi to also happen here. And our dumping site is right next to a swamp or a water body, which is not even healthy for the environment.
Councillors criticized the Katavi leadership for making decisions without consulting Entebbe municipality.
The statistics show that we have 600 metric tons of garbage being dropped here every day, and we are on something, it should be about 14 acres, and there is already an issue that we do not have all that acreage here. And if you look at most of the part of this dumping site, it has been taken.
Kati Katavi weba yatuta obuvunanyizibwa yabikoze mu bukyamu okusula mu garage tekikufuula mu motoka bwe tuba twagula ettaka mu Katavi Town Council tekitegeeza nti ettaka lyabo.
Following this development, Truck drivers were seen stranded with garbage on their trucks, pleading with the Entebbe authorities to allow them to dump the waste one last time while a permanent solution is found.
Kasasiri emmoloka zipakinze ndi mu nnamba nga y'abiri naye kaakati uteebereza amu n'emmoloka zikyajja tugenda mukola tutya so katulinde ekiveeri mu bakulu tulabe kye tugenda kukola.
Era kyetukosezza kuba amafuta gagenda mangi, motoka zifa oledde ate netuuka wano oluusi nga layini nayo weeri kyovula tubaali twenyigiramu nnyo nga tubeerawo wano kumpi ekiro kyonna.
Amidst the confusion, local residents are calling on Prime Minister Nabanja to intervene and resolve the matter, which is becoming increasingly political. On Tuesday, KCCA, represented by Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago, visited the dumping site where the disputed MOU was signed between Katabi leadership and KCCA.
Meanwhile, several houses on the side of the Chitezi landfill entrance have started submerging in the water pool that was created adjacent to the landfill. The affected residents say that their houses had initially been mapped out by KCCA for composition to create a buffer zone of 200 meters.
These are some of the houses that are close to sinking into the pool of water that formed due to the overflow of Chitezi landfill. The houses are in the 200-meter radius that KCCA had mapped out for compensation to create a buffer zone in 2015 after portions of the garbage masses started showing signs of disaster.
Emyaka mwenda fetwanidde omusango guno okutuuka okufuna obwenkanya.
In the first assessment, which was conducted by KCCA in 2015, out of the over 30 households that were assessed and mapped out as being in the risk zone, only 8 households under Bibanja were compensated.
Nofuna obuzibu twagenda paka State Council ne bakkiriza bagenda basasula. Era basasulako abantu 8 ebibanja ne bavaawo. Naye nganze landlady sisasulirwange ettaka likyali lyange.
According to the documents obtained from the Lusanje LC zone, the 8 households who were assessed and valued were given 391 million shillings. The money as given to each individual household was also subject to a 25% deduction towards legal aid.
Batusasula zali milioni 391 mu 391 ezo kwe kwaliko ne 25%. Batugunjagunya batukako okuteeka sente kwa account ya lawyer. Sente za finafuna access ezegabiranga bwakola ki nga bwayagala abantu bagula ne tebasobola kuzimba.
Those who were in the same radius but not compensated decided to stay in the risk zone, while others decided to keep their houses on key and lock and sought refuge in other areas awaiting compensation. 9 years later, the accumulation of the solid wastes has created the water pool and water has started to overflow into people's houses.
We are also going to die. That place is not good, but they can't see it. We are about 30. We are waiting, but we have waited. There's no reply. There's no.
Many of those affected around this area say they have never been compensated even after they had been assessed and valued.
Baina kyebakonyeeko nti LC yaddamu oba bukulembeze bwa Lusanja baddamu ne butunda ebifo ebyo basasulira abantu ekyo kya bulimba era ekifo kye basasulira abantu kye kino era baleka bakikoze bwe bati kakati munnange ani yasasulira ani yakolera wano endagaano.
According to some of the residents, in November 2023, KCCA asked some of them to leave and find places to stay as their compensation is handled. Still, 8 of them were given amounts ranging from 1 to 2 million shillings to go and pay rent in their new homes. But up to now, they haven't received any communication from the authority.
Bo bennyini aba KCCA batuwa ku kasente okuva batusubiza mu November mwaka ogwedde batuwadde muguno omwaka mu gwokutaano.
They are in fear of the risk of explosion from the remaining garbage mass that is still standing above their houses. Kampala Capital City Authority reaffirmed that the authority is working tooth and nail to ensure that Chitezi landfill remains under use until the alternative site in Dundu is complete. Engineer David Luimba has noted that the authority will carefully continue using the 4 acres that were acquired for dumping.
Again, moving away from here before we decommission and protect the risky landfill. We'll keep the risks here.
Similarly, the catastrophic side of the site that left many buried in the garbage is being leveled to create room for the mass of garbage that is still standing. Property, including wrecked remains of KCCA laboratory, house, rooftops, recycling factory remains are seen floating in the pond that was created by the water. At 5 p.m. today, the number of the bodies so far recovered had risen to 30.
The team retrieved the 6 dead bodies. This makes a total of 30 bodies so far recovered. The operation continues until the last hour.
Though the rescue team continues with the exercise uninterrupted, hope for recovery of remains of those who were buried in the garbage mass are gradually declining. Susan Naung and Michael Pakabulindi reporting for ABC TV.
Meanwhile, President Yoweri Museveni and King of Eswatini, His Majesty Mswati III, have witnessed the signing of numerous MOUs and also enumerated on various collaboration areas between the two countries.
Getting the transfer of technology into our countries, we need to work together, as you are saying, Your Excellency, that if we work together, we partner together, there's a lot we can do. When we move together, we can move a long way. But if one country moves on its own, it cannot go too far. So it is absolutely critical that we establish structures to see how our two countries can cooperate in a lot of areas and so on. You rightly touched upon that in Africa we have a lot to offer to the world. And unfortunately, with all this natural resource, which is our God-given products, we are unable to produce it properly. But with the more understanding and more educated of Africans, now we understand that let's make use of these natural resources to our advantage.
And I've told these wonderful people here, the Ugandans, that if you want to be like Latin America, you are welcome. Because if you look, Your Majesty, if you look at Latin America has a lot of natural. It has got a lot of forests, Brazil, a lot of water, the Amazon, a lot of minerals, even petroleum in some of the Latin American countries. But you find the countries are in poverty. They are running to the USA to look for the leafer in the USA, the modern leafer, the prosperity, the good house, the medical care, the electricity is in the USA. Yet South America has got a lot of natural resources. So what is the problem? The problem is the way they are organized. Made the mistake of having a fragmented market, and you can't succeed. It's not easy to succeed. The integration of the market is the biggest stimulus for wealth creation, for wealth creators. In the USA, people succeed because they have got a huge market. If you produce a product in New York, it can be sold all the way to California, no border, nothing. It goes, no tax, no internal tax. That's how the prosperity is easy. Now, once we understand that, then the other one is the one of where do we get capital from? If we understand that producing a good or a service is the source of leafer, then the question is how do we get to the capital? That's where these African governments could cooperate. They can invest together. Uganda may not have enough money to build a factory for producing electric buses, but if we combine with the Eswatini, we combine with the South Africa, we combine with the Zimbabwe, and we all own it together. We should not have a model of where Japan produces and we buy. It should have a model of where we produce together and we buy what is ours. I want you to pray for us that East Africa becomes a political union, also in addition to the economic integration. Because that one, it can be a type of India or a China which can be able to defend the black race.
And the Prime Minister of the Republic of Lesotho has had a benchmarking tour at the National Agricultural Research Organization laboratories in Kawanda. Lesotho Prime Minister Ntsokowane's visit to Kawanda aimed at enlightening him on the existing cooperation opportunities for his country and Uganda.
The delegation from Lesotho, led by the Prime Minister Sam Tsokowane Matekane, was received by the Minister of State for Agriculture in charge of Fisheries Helen Adoa and NARO's Director General Dr. Yona Baguma, among other dignitaries. This was followed by a guided tour around some of NARO's laboratories where new and improved innovations are carried out. The Director General NARO, Dr. Yona Baguma, prides in NARO's research, which he says is contributing to the socio-economic transformation of Uganda.
We're so proud that we have over 164 PhDs specialized in different fields: plant breeding, plant health, plant management, livestock, fisheries, so many fields to mention. As NARO, the government has helped NARO to set up infrastructure. We have one of the best research infrastructure on the continent.
Under those programs, we have been able to perfectly deliver, support the brands of this country. Currently, this country is implementing the National Development Plan 3 that has a number of programs, and us as now we perfectly fit under the agro-industrialization.
The Minister of State for Agriculture in charge of Fisheries, Helen Adoa, highlighted the need for partnerships between Uganda and Lesotho for the development of both countries.
And as we talked throughout our tour to the compound, we said we can have exchanges. It's not that we have it all. Nobody has everything. We have a lot to learn from your country. You have a lot to learn from our country.
The Prime Minister of Lesotho, Sam Tsokowane Matekane, commended the research carried out by NAL and promised to send some of his officials from Lesotho to benchmark from NARO.
Still have a long way to go to greater heights together by holding each other's hand. I have committed to my president that I will bring our students, our experts from Lesotho to come and learn here.
Matekane called upon the government of Uganda to return a visit to Lesotho and tap into the edge-cutting technology.
So we do trout, we breed it, we export it to Japan, we export it to South Africa. So those ideas will also be shared between the two countries. We have to learn from each other. And those of you that are here studying as well, learn very hard so that you can be able to go back to our communities and implement. Because implementation, there's nothing to beat implementation.
Mary Namgose, UBC News.
And the country is mourning the passing of Joseph Tamale Mirundi, a former private secretary to the president and a prolific journalist, widely regarded as a straightforward individual who never minced his words. By Wednesday morning, mourners from various localities had gathered at his home to pay their respects and remember the deceased.
Mourners from all walks of life convened at the homes of the late social and political critic, who was also a former private secretary to the president.
I've known Mirundi for the last, I think, 24 years. He has been a true friend. Nobody has ever supported the President Museveni and the NRM like Tamale Mirundi. Mirundi will defend the NRM and the President Museveni.
Joseph Brasio Tamale Mirundi passed on last night at Kisubi Hospital after his health had deteriorated. The atmosphere was somber, filled with grief among the mourners. During the funeral rites held in Zananchengera, speakers praised the late Tamale's legacy, particularly his significant contributions to the journalism profession.
Tubebaza olasabisi abatukoledde ebisibu ebisanga ne babyogerako okwewaayo okwogerera Uganda Pledge.
Nina mpo mukisa nga nkyali amacha nakola nange ku TV Majesty ate bwe twatuuka ne yalina challenge bagigalagala. Nangamba ne tukoleyo walala we tukolera TV we bagigala tukolere wala. Instagram ku online kwe tubadde banga lyonna.
Frank Agashumba, a long-time friend of the late Mirundi, renowned for his commentaries on mainstream and social media, a trend also shared by the fallen commentator, sharing memories of Tamale Mirundi.
Trust me, remember the Baganda have a saying, nobody can ever replace Tamale Mirundi. He was all around, very hilarious. You get it? And he was a good timekeeper. Look at a person at his age. He would do radio shows on Beat, Radio 4, everywhere. You get it? We just have a dead generation.
Gashumba remarked that the late Mirundi died a sad and miserable man.
He was so disappointed. He was thrown out of State House. Trust me, Mirundi has not died over here, lung failure. No. He has died of depression. I know sometimes he had no fuel. But you see convoys of senior ministers and top government officials with the lead cars and the rest. So the message is very simple. Let's learn to appreciate people when they are still alive. So even if government foots the entire bill.
A veteran journalist, Mirundi's loss, according to Gashumba, will leave a significant void in the media fraternity.
We no longer have investigative journalism in Uganda. It died a long time ago. We just have masqueraders now. We don't have. It's in Uganda where you'll find a journalist who will come to interview you, asking you, what's your name, blah, blah, blah. Because I think before you can even come for an interview, you must do preps. Who is this person?
Kampala residents, especially those who appreciated his commentary, will remember him as a straightforward man who always called a spade a spade.
Tamale Mirundi mbadde mumanyi ng'omusajja ateeyantama. Ensonga yonna ina webeera mu government. Museveni amwogerako nga Museveni president waffe n'omuntu yenna alina obuli.
Badde musajja mwesimbu nga wabula government. Kyemumanyiiko kubanga yali wa mazima yakola ne president kumala ebbanga emyaka 14.
Although many have referred to him as a knowledgeable person, others knew him as a man full of controversies and humor. This was evident in his speeches. For instance, in a verbal will before his death, he said, "My children will buy my ghost a brand new car and let it drink as a sip of beers." A series of requiem masses and vigil prayer services will continue in memory of the late Tamale Mirundi until his official send-off on Sunday at his ancestral home in Matale Kalagala village, Kalisezo Town Council, Chotera district. A requiem mass will be held at St. Javira Catholic Church in Bunamwaya tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm Ivan Juko and Viola Nakasaga for UBC.
Now, the veteran journalist has passed away at the age of 60 at Kisubi Hospital, where he had been receiving medical medical treatment. The hospital administration confirmed that Tamale died shortly before midnight and they paid their tribute to him. They noted that Tamale was a dedicated client who took his health seriously, often seeking medical services even when he was not ill.
I am at Kisubi Hospital, Wakiso District. This is where the veteran journalist and comrade Tamale Mirundi has been receiving treatment. On Tuesday, before midnight, the veteran journalist and comrade was pronounced dead.
I can confirm that passed on from here. Yes, and he was quite very jolly. I will not say that he was a very sad man. He was not a sad man.
According to the hospital management, Tamale was more than a client and would frequently visit the hospital whenever any activity came by.
It would be difficult for him to come around, and he fails to move around the hospital. He comes around, he captures videos very well. Some of you follow him on his TikTok. You actually know that he's at Kisubi. So he was a very welcoming person.
At the time of his death, Tamale Mirundi was being monitored within the hospital intensive care unit.
I knew Tamale Mirundi for a long time as a friend and as a veteran journalist. It's very sad, it's a pity that he has gone too soon, because I think he's not that kind of person we would have expected to die now.
But doctors here argue that there is a lot to learn from the late lifestyle.
Look after yourself very well, okay? Don't wait to get sick for you to get medication. So he was that kind of person. He was very sensitive to his health. He would come in for our clinics just to check and follow up his life, whether he's sick or not. So that's one thing we really encourage Ugandans to learn from him. And
from the hospital, we made it to one of the homes of the late Tamale Mirundi. We have found quite a number of people, mourners, family, friends and relatives. These mourners have eulogized the late Tamale Mirundi.
N'omuntu w'abantu abena kunda politics tubentu mukunda munonga abena jana TFM atwereza amahurire twikirizanga n'omuntu w'amani twaferwa acharo twafere ukintu cy'amani munonga tinkumanya ruhanga murize cyumuro cyurungi.
Of course, he would write his opinion. He would have opinion pieces, but also would write the stories. And often he ensured he sourced documents. Even when he was as press secretary, at times he would do, once in a while, pass me some documents where he thought there was a good story to write. So he was a man who did his job, not creating stories but trying to get the facts.
Let's now take a look at Tamale Mirundi's life.
Till we meet again. By His counsel's guide uphold you, with His sheep securely fold you. God be with you till we meet.
He spoke his mind, irrespective of who listened, perceived or misconceived his message, whether at public engagements or while appearing in the media. Tamale Mirundi meant what he said and said what he meant.
Obama obudukavu bwene bujja
They know him. He's a known professor. He's racism. Ho.
Mirundi's 60-year-old journey came to an end on August 13th, 2024, having begun on June 30th, 1964. Hailing from Rakai district in southwestern Uganda, Joseph Tamale Mirundi was a distinguished journalist, author and political analyst.
Mwenyina wa Obama ne bamukwatira mu America as an illegal immigrant. Obama kept quiet.
He often preferred to be known as the son of Yoweri Mirundi and Mole Namatovu. Renowned for his sharp commentary across various media platforms, he will always be remembered as a bold journalist whose critique of authority often sparked both conversation and controversy. Once a part-time writer for a newspaper called Muno, Mirundi served as the presidential press secretary until July 2015, when he was relieved of his duties after 13 years. A Yoweri Secondary School alumnus, Mirundi earned a bachelor's degree in mass communication and a master's degree in communication. In 2019, he revealed that he had been poisoned, though it was unclear if he had fully recovered from the incident. According to medical reports, Mirundi succumbed to lung-related complications on Tuesday at around 11:40 p.m. at KCCA Hospital in Kampala, where he had been receiving treatment for over a month. His distinctive approach to discussing issues often led to comical imitations of his persona.
Tukubanja mwana wano holi masengera ati nze ndi mukozi wa bene katuka.
At the age of 60, Mirundi is survived by 2 wives and children, including Tamale Mirundi Jr. Henry Okrut, UBC.
May his soul rest in peace. We take a quick break. When we return, more details. This is News Tonight.
You used to tell me that I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100*21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Once upon a time, there lived identical twins who gave birth to beautiful princes and princesses.
Their mothers gave their babies' bodies a lot of care by applying on their skin with baby Junior jelly.
Though dried their chariots and everyone would admire their glowing skin. Fun fact, baby Junior prevents diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Moms all over Africa love baby Junior jelly. Baby Junior's the skin. No more worries anymore. Boo, 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 boo. Baby Junior.
Baby Junior.
Uganda, are you ready to kick things up to the next level? The Uganda National Lottery brings you Sports Stake 10. Predict the results of 10 football games and win big. With tickets at only 500 shillings, join the fun and make your predictions count with Sports Stake 10. Sports Stake 10, your ticket to football glory.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
Welcome back. You are still watching News Tonight. A Toro woman member of Parliament, Sarah Opendi, is considering reintroducing the alcohol drinks control bill after Parliament rejected her first move. During Tuesday plenary this week, the House rejected the bill, which had returned for the second reading. The Joint Committee of Health and Trade recommended that the bill is objected in its entirety since it would impose a financial implication on the Consolidated Fund. Sarah Opendi, who was the mover of the bill, maintains that alcohol needs a common law to regulate the purchase, sale and consumption in Uganda.
Since November 2023, Parliament has been deliberating on the proposal to introduce new legislation regulating the purchase, sale and consumption of alcohol. Important to note is also regulating the time and premises to which alcohol is sold in Uganda. Different stakeholders engaged with the Joint Parliamentary Committee of Health and Trade, giving their input about the Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill 2023, brought by a private member, Sarah Opendi, also the Toro woman member of Parliament. But the bill flopped during its road for a second reading after the report of the committee failed to come to terms with the gaps which the bill intends to address.
So for that reason alone, Right Honourable Speaker, I'd be moving that the bill be rejected by the House.
And it is hard to enforce, to buy soft drinks and depreciate them from alcoholic drinks. The committee also observes discrimination and unfairness under Clause 14.2, which allows supermarkets or depots to sell alcoholic drinks between 10 hours and 22 hours.
The report was presented by the new chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Trade and Tourism during the Tuesday plenary session chaired by Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa.
The bill should have been upheld and studied carefully because a bill of this nature has to balance trade and business interests as well as health.
The committee report puts it that the bill, being a private member, will have a financial constraint in the Consolidated Fund, hence the House should reject it entirely.
So for me, I can only say that this 11th Parliament needs prayers because we are not doing what we are supposed to be doing. There is something else that seems to be driving us, which I am yet to understand.
The minority report, as presented by Aru County MP Christopher Komakech, interested the MPs to consider the cost benefits resulting from the abuse of alcohol in Uganda. This was in vain.
As is observed by the majority report, the development of the National Alcohol Control Policy arose out of wide consultations with various stakeholders.
Sarah Opendi blames the Attorney General, who she thinks would interest the government to take over the bill due to the damage which alcohol imposes to the population, especially the young people. Opendi is considering to reintroduce the bill in the second phase.
Because the government has an alcohol control policy, and that was already a step in the right direction, showing that the government has the will to control the production, the sale, the manufacture and advertising of alcohol.
But what could be the threats to the alcohol industry in Uganda?
The main issue that we have in our sector is the illicit trade, where we're seeing that 65% of the sector is illicit. Of course, we have issues of alcohol abuse. Nobody is talking about that. So it is a big one, which is more of behavior than putting up embargoes and laws.
Jackie Tahakanizibwa, the chairperson of the Uganda Alcohol Industry Association, says the Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill 2023 was initiated in a bad spirit, as the motives were derived by emotions.
We were only looking at manufacturers, but there's the entire value chain that needed to be considered. 6 million livelihoods survive on the sector.
Uganda is among the leading consumers of alcohol in the world. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
And the senior presidential advisor for special duties, Grace Caballo, has called for unity and the promotion of African culture among nations. This was during the launch of the African Monologue Challenge, an event focused on celebrating African heritage, norms, and history.
The initiative provides a platform for Africans to share their stories and traditions through monologues.
Where Mount Cameroon isn't just a mountain.
African politics. You just never know what to expect.
Promoting a shared identity on the global stage.
This competition that you called a competition is more of a traditional reunion and more of a fact-finding of what great things Africa has. Challenging the young generation. How much do you know about yourself? How much do you know about Africa?
The vision behind this is to unite African creatives, African leaders, and the corporate Africa to tell African stories the African way.
At the event, the senior presidential advisor in charge of special duties, Grace Caballo, emphasized the importance of unity among African nations, noting the role of cultural exchange in fostering understanding and cooperation across borders.
Trying to really bridge that gap of knowledge for our young generation to know. And therefore the challenge is competition for them to tell us what is good and great about themselves, about their homes, about their countries. Now time has come to see the real beauty of Uganda.
Director of Content Development at Uganda Communications Commission, Julian Muhwere, also pledged support, emphasizing the importance of equipping youth with the skills needed to succeed globally.
We support people in directorship. We also help people to write scripts that sell the country in itself. So there's so much opportunity, and UCC has been really behind this sector for the last 11 years in ensuring that we meet the national and international standards for film production.
Attendees expressed gratitude to President Museveni for his unwavering support of Pan-Africanism.
Thank our President and the Commander-in-Chief. He has always, time and again, spoke the same words about Pan-Africanism. That word does not leave his mouth, even up to today. He has been a person of his words. He has kept his words right from the word go when he was still in the bush.
Who believes in Pan-Africanism 100%, and that is our president. You can see that he believes in that, not to mention his participation in Frelimo, Fronasa.
Irene Faith Nantongo, Mary Namukose, UBC News.
The Anti-Corruption Court has halted the hearing of a corruption trial involving 3 legislators, Yusuf Mutambuli of Bunyore East, Paul Akamba of Siki constituency, and Sisi Namuju, following claims that the human rights of one of the suspects, Paul Akampa, was violated during his rearrest. Now, MP Akampa alleges that after his rearrest, he was detained in a non-gazetted area for 7 days, violating his rights as a suspect.
Judge Lawrence Judith is presiding over the case of corruption against legislators Yusuf Mutembule, Paula Kamba Busiki constituency, and Sisen Namuju, member of parliament for Rango district. The case at the Anti-Corruption Court in Kampala. When the case resumed for further hearing, the accused Paula Kamba, through his legal team, asked court to halt the case on allegations that he was tortured by security operatives during rearrest.
Yes,
My Lord, we are therefore praying that the proceedings in the trial, this state and the application be disposed of as expeditiously as possible as required by the Act.
Akamba claimed that his human rights were violated since he was detained in an ungazetted place for 7 days. Basing his application on the Human Rights Violation Act, MP Akamba asked court to dismiss the case against him. It's from this that Judge Lawrence Gidudu decided to halt the proceedings of the corruption trial against legislators until he will deliver a ruling. It should be noted that on 14th June 2024, Member of Parliament Paula Kamba, after being granted bail by Magistrate Joani Asiro, he was rearrested by plainclothesmen around court premises. Paula Kamba, although he was granted bail by this court, since he's pending with other offences of corruption and abuse of office, the charges he faces with the former Permanent Secretary and Minister of Trade and Industry Geraldine Salibusurwa and other legislators, he is still on remand. Court resumed on 23rd August 2024. Deborah Namamonde, Viola Nansubuga, UBC News.
Uganda fire! Endiva fire! Our border fire!
Uganda! Thank you for showing your fire! Has Namole Stadium opened its doors once again?
Fire!
While you were moving in, you were the 12th player when Uganda Cranes needed you the most.
Fire! Fire!
Through our famous wins against Bubangunda and our unlucky losses, you stood firm, supporting even louder. Now, as Uganda Cranes take on South Africa and Congo this September, South Sudan in October, and play our second legs against South Africa and Congo in November, bring even more fire! Because with your support, Uganda Cranes is unstoppable! Uganda Fire! Proudly brought to you by MTN, the #1 supporter of Uganda Cranes. Together, we are unstoppable.
Where does it come from? That thing that makes us Ugandan. Some say it's in our history, in our culture, and in our hearts, in our warm smiles and vast miles of coffee. It's in our inherent pursuit to always be better, to never stop growing and glowing. We are a nation of sweat and skills, a nation of ideas and inventions. But what truly makes us Ugandan is our quest to invest in agribusiness, manufacturing, tourism, infrastructure, health, and education to improve the quality of life of Ugandans. That's what makes us Uganda Development Bank.
We can do better.
Uganda Development Bank, inspiring development.
It's true what people say, that when I wash and you wash your hands with soap, we'll have less infections as Ugandans. After all, it's hands that handle money. It's hands that feed us. Hands that prepare soil for farming. Hands that we use to learn. And hands that we use for fun.
When I wash and you wash, it means clean hands for all. So, wash your hands with soap and clean water regularly to keep away infections and disease-causing germs. This message is from the National Hand Washing Secretariat with support from UNICEF.
Now, the issue of street children being evacuated from the streets of Kampala earlier this year remains unresolved and continues to be a driving factor for child trafficking in Karamoja sub-region. While presenting on the floor of Parliament, Faith Nakut, the woman member of Parliament for Napak district, revealed that the 3 hosting schools in the region are overwhelmed by the number of children, making it difficult to manage them. This situation contravenes the guidelines for boarding schools. In response, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Tayebwa, has instructed the Ministry of Education and Sports to provide a statement on the policies guiding boarding schools.
At the end of last year, the government, in preparation for the NAM and the G77 China summits, evacuated street children from the streets of Kampala and relocated them to Karamoja sub-region. Months later, the woman member of Parliament for Napak district, Faith Nakut, reports that this initiative has left the 3 hosting schools in Karamoja overwhelmed with appalling health and living conditions. She is seeking urgent government intervention.
The children don't have the food, they don't have even beddings, the medical condition, the teachers are overwhelmed. they were doing this duty on behalf of government. Now, my district wrote to the Ministry for Karamoja Affairs, to the Ministry for Disaster. There is no response.
Nakut warns that if the situation is not addressed, it could reignite the child trafficking cases that had previously been curtailed.
That if the head teachers give up, those children could get back to the street. And that is the risk we want to avoid.
In response, the third Deputy Prime Minister, Lukia Nakadama, promised to involve the Office of the Prime Minister to ensure intervention.
I'll say that it is bad and it's sad that our children are lacking food right now. But we are going to intervene so that the children can get food and they should be kept in school, because we know the consequences of sending back these children.
The situation has also caught the attention of the Ministry of Education and Sports.
But I want to tell this floor, Mr. Speaker, that the government policy is that all our primary schools and secondary schools are day school by policy. However, once for us to have a school to become a boarding section, they must meet with the minimum standard with all the available, whatever we want to make a dormitory to become a school to become a dormitory.
Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Taiwa, has instructed the Ministry of Education and Sports to provide a comprehensive statement on the policies guiding boarding schools.
When you're making such an important pronouncement, also bring a statement here on the floor so that members can be updated. This issue, I know it's an issue which can raise a lot of debate. Can you bring a statement on your policy for boarding schools?
Lydia Chomkama and Gloria Gutaminji, Parliament.
And in business news, Uganda Tier 4 sector stands as a cornerstone for the growth of microfinance sector and has the capacity to attract significant investment. This according to Edith Tusubira, the Executive Director of the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority. Tusubira emphasizes that the introduction of a credit rating mechanism could address many of the challenges currently affecting the sector.
The significance of this conference organized by the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority and the International Credit Rating Agency is to empower microfinance institutions with credit ratings and investment opportunities for the Tier 4 financial institutions. According to UMRA, 70% of credit issued out in Uganda is through the Tier 4 mechanism, and hence the need for streamlining the sector.
We cannot keep hearing the President saying, please reduce interest rates, and nothing is happening. So as UMRA, we decided that we are going to help by creating a loan shop. We also have what they call the credit information sharing mechanism. While it is under the law, we hadn't yet started operationalizing it. So what is happening today is we are also introducing, the launch is coming by the way, but we are telling the market or informing the market that all lenders and borrowers of the Tier 4 sector are going to be put before the credit information sharing mechanism, where we can be able to have a purview of them.
The rating agency's role in this sector is to conduct thorough financial assessments of organizations, thereby disclosing the borrower's credit worthiness to the sector players.
Because ICRA being an international rating agency, our rating reports are acceptable worldwide by all the commercial banks and all the international investors. So when a customer takes a rating report to an investor, they see the risk profile, they see how much risk is involved in the business, and then accordingly they can invest and fund that particular opportunity. So yes, the ratings are acceptable and it opens door to the international investments. And that
to qualify for rating, financial institutions need to have full documentation processes in place, strong corporate governance and proper record keeping.
Some of the institutions, not all, because some of the institutions out there, They are well-established institutions who really qualify for ratings and who really qualify for the international investments. So the loopholes are just in maintaining the records, in maintaining the proper documentation, so that once they start doing it, they qualify for ratings.
Our young people are borrowing anyhow now because there is no formalization in the form of getting to know you. So because of that, we are coming up with all those different initiatives.
UMRA has partnered with the International Credit Rating Agency and Moringa Way, an international funder, to help licensees improve on their standards, and this collaboration seeks to create further opportunities such as opening doors for international investment. Dennis Igoa for UBC Business.
Royal Challenge presents African Culture Show 2024. From 5th to 7th September, African countries will showcase their cultural lifestyles of food, dances, poetry, clothing, and we shall also have live African traditional performances. We shall be at Kololo Independence Grounds starting at 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. at only 50,000 shillings. Dressing code is African culture wear. Come see countries like Nigeria, Ghana, Egypt, Libya, plus visiting countries like Brazil, India, China, and many more, showcasing their traditional cultural lifestyles.
And now in sports, the countdown to the highly anticipated third edition of the Tusker Light Mount Rwenzori Marathon has gained momentum by the launch of the official kit to be used during the only World Athletics certified marathon in Uganda.
Certified, it's much easier for any Ugandan today to qualify for the Olympics, for example, from Uganda, because that never happened. Uganda is one of the top 3 running nations on the African continent, but did not have a single certified marathon that is well run, well managed, and I hope that this will spark more marathons in the country as we partner with Rwenzori Water. As you all know, Rwenzori Water has been there since we started. They've been with us. We don't intend to change unless they decide otherwise, but they're extremely in the direct line of fire with Tusker Light Rwenzori Marathon. If they miss out, I mean, it doesn't make sense, to be honest.
We are going to make sure that every runner has ample water for before the race, during the race, after the race, as much hydration as possible. That's why we've even gone further in addressing that issue, because inside 42 kilometers is happening. There are different races that are happening. So we have 12 hydration points that are going to be scattered across the routes, all of them with water and some soda, to give a bit of sugar, and after that, the hydration points will be 3 kilometers apart on all the routes. And this is very important for runners, yeah, to give them that push.
I know.
Meanwhile, another batch of Uganda's athletes from the just concluded Paris 2024 Olympics has returned.
The contingent of athletes included Sarah Chelangat, Maslin Chelangat, Martin Magengo, Rebecca Cheptegei, and Andrew Rotich.
It's a really huge achievement for me to have competed at the Olympic Games, especially after a 40-year wait for cycling. And yeah, I'm really happy that finally we can also compete in the Olympics.
We did our best, and finally we came back with the 2 medals in 10,000 meters men gold and the 3,000 meters steeplechase women silver, and we are happy for that, and we pray next time we'll do more than that.
Also at the arrivals lounge at Entebbe International Airport were the general team officials.
When you look at these games, yes, we collected fewer medals, but then there were improvements in other areas. We hold now another Olympic record. Remember, we first made an Olympic record many years, that is 1972. Now we have made another one, once again by way of Joshua. When you look at the performances of our other athletes, they have improved tremendously. Many national records were broken here for our country, which shows that that was also some bit of progress.
Uganda had 25 athletes at the Olympics, with Jacob Kiplimo, Peruth Chemutai and Joshua Cheptegei returning last week, while the final batch touched down later today. Players including Tassis Orogot, Gloria Muzito, Jessie Ngonzi, Halima Nakai, Winnie Nanyondo and the now retired Kathleen Noble returned to their foreign bases.
Well, that does it for news tonight. Thank you for sticking with us throughout the hour. I am Rhoda Ngonzi. Have yourselves a lovely night.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. This week, join us on your favorite weekly program, Behind the Headlines, as we explore Kampala's evolution from its origins